Okay, my friends, so much has happened. I last made a video in March. That was when I had a bad reaction to the bone matrix in my cervical fusion that was first attempted in February. In order to go home from the hospital after that, I basically went in through the ER. They removed the bad bone matrix, and then I needed time to heal. But there was also the risk of the metal getting infected. So I had a PICC line inserted into my arm, and they gave me a vancomycin heavy duty antibiotic against one of my doctor's wishes, but the idea was to load up with some mast cell medication so that it would offset the problems that I had with the antibiotic. No, it did not work like that. So I used the PICC line for about a month, and then I was getting weekly testing, and my liver markers shot through the roof. I was feeling all right, but then I just sort of started vomiting. I couldn't eat, couldn't hold anything down, not even water. So, under the advisement of one of my doctors at Mount Sinai, I went to the local hospital. And they thought I had red man syndrome. It didn't start until I got to the hospital, but basically my neck started getting red, then my back started getting red, and then basically my whole body was red. My whole body was swollen. I turned almost purple. You wouldn't have even recognized me. My head was so fat. I couldn't even fit my slippers on my feet. And what it wound up being was dress syndrome. So it's a rare syndrome that basically happens mostly from vancomycin, and it is it caused like liver failure, sepsis, acute liver failure, sepsis, and I wound up being in the hospital for a little over 3 weeks. I was in 2 hospitals. First, they got me stable up here after making me worse because they were treating me incorrectly. And I spent almost a week in the ICU up here. Then I was stabilized. They sent me down to Mount Sinai to be assessed. And I wound up back in the ICU again because, again, the hospital up here did not know how to treat me properly. They took me off the steroids too early. And I was on heavy, heavy, heavy duty steroids. So once I got home after those 3.5 weeks, I basically was below square one from when I started physical therapy in December. I was barely pushing a walker around. And of course, because all of this happened and because I needed to stay on steroids, I was at 90 milligrams when I got home from the hospital, and you have to tether off it slowly. My final cervical fusion to put the bone matrix back in was delayed. Now, I recovered really well from that, all things considered. I was back doing pretty much above where I had started by the time I went in on August 16th to have my third surgery as far as rehab goes. And the surgery went well. I was there for just under a week, but it was the hardest recovery so far. And I think that's simply because within the last 10 months, I've been in the hospital for over 30 days. So my body was just really worn down. I'm sensitive to begin with. And yeah, it was crazy times. But at this point, I am doing amazing, all things considered. So this is a bone stimulator. I actually cannot really stand to use it. I'm supposed to use it for 4 hours a day, but I feel like I'm in an electric chair every night, and the insides of my body are just going like this, and I couldn't sleep. So the first couple nights I was using it, I fell asleep at 9:30 in the morning, 7:30. It was crazy. I have a meeting with another doctor, my neurologist, that moved to Oregon instead of Mount Sinai, who charges $800 an hour. I have a meeting with her tomorrow to sort of talk about what the next steps are, if I can use it for just an hour at a time. It's supposed to stimulate bone growth so that the fake bone matrix and my real bone essentially have union. And as of February, I'll know for sure. We'll get a scan and make sure that everything is stuck together as it should be. I figured my Halloween costume this year would be appropriate if I were a skeleton. And this I am almost done wearing. So 3 months of wear, that puts me at the end of middle of November. I'll be able to take it off. But right now I'm really only wearing it when I stand up. You know, when I'm laying down, when I'm showering, when I'm eating, I don't have to wear it. And I can just lay back like that a little bit because my neck is still really sore. And part of that, is I'm really committed to my physical therapy. I am going to get the mail every day on my A-Linker trike that was made for people with MS, or essentially people that can use their feet but need a wheelchair. I am not using a cane or a walker when I'm walking around the house anymore, just the brace. And I'm having a lot less aid help. So I was having help for about 35 hours, 5 days a week. And now maybe 12 hours, 3 times a week. So I'm cooking a little bit on my own, nothing fancy, but the basics, one step at a time. I'm dating. And now I can focus on fixing the issues from my $15,000 jaw appliance mistake. So the first step will be ortho. I'll do Invisalign this time to try and put my teeth back into the bone as much as possible. The device was supposed to grow my jaw long and wide, and instead it just tipped my teeth out of the alveolar bone. So I have some gum recession, some root reabsorption, and then of course all of the steroids that I was on did not help any of that. So I started having a lot of sensitivity in my teeth, and from there we'll just see what has to happen. I might have to see a periodontist, and then of course someone to do prosthetics, because when this all started in 2016, it was with the 3 bad root canals. And I still just have blank spaces in them since they were removed at the end of 2017. Now, as far as neurosurgery goes, I'm still technically approved for tethered cord syndrome. That's the bottom of my spinal cord basically getting stuck. It's not floating around freely as it should, which can cause a lot of pain. And although I'm getting around so much better, by the end of the night, I can still really feel the effects of that. And then I have the 2 ossified styloids. We can technically go in and pull those toothpicks, as I like to call them, out. But I'm hoping, I grew 2 inches. P.S. I'm now 5'4". So they have so much metal inside. My scar basically starts at just the top of my ears and then goes down to about here. I don't think I'll be able to show you on the camera, but if you've seen Men in Black, the alien guy who has the zipper in the back of his head, Edward or something his name is, Edgar. That's basically what I'm looking like right now. And then I have the couple of scars from the drainage sites. They stick little holes so that everything can drain out right after the surgery. And what else? I'll be going down to physical therapy at Helen Hayes. I'm graduating from home physical therapy, but that's about an hour away, and I don't have a way to get there right now. That's just a logistical issue. And then I finally, after 4 years, have the book published from my dear friend Richard Ron. I archived all of his publications. He's been publishing in articles for the last 40 years or so. Right now, he does a weekly column in the Washington Times, and he was a chief economist for Ronald Reagan. So he was really involved in the Cold War. And this book basically was a compilation of his favorite articles so that he could sort of give it out as a commemorative piece. And I'm listed as an editor in it. I basically was in charge of archiving all of the articles, which are now available on his website. And then I helped narrow down the articles and then get them formatted and, just taking care of all of the logistics. So, 4 years, slow and steady, but it feels really good to have it done. And my claim to fame is in the acknowledgments. The design and production of this book has been overseen by the delightful and very talented Elizabeth Brooks. So I'm sending these out. I got some copies and I'm sending them out to some of my friends. Basically, I don't agree with everything that he believes. He is a libertarian. However, for the last, 7 years now that I've known him, he's really taught me to think differently. And I really, really appreciate him. He's pretty good for an old white guy. And then I have some of my artwork is going to be on the cover of a journal focusing on MECFS. That should be out sometime in January. And then I was involved with the Massachusetts MECFS Foundation because of all of the doctors that I saw up in Harvard. And they are doing a postcard series, and 2 of my pieces of artwork will be printed on those postcards as well. So I still am feeling productive. The app has sort of lost its way. The person that I hired, she was one of my aides. She graduated from SUNY New Paltz and moved back to Long Island after that, but I paid her to try and work on the app. It was basically a lot more than she had bargained for. So she looped in one of her old, not coworkers, what peers, another student that she graduated with. And we're working on that slowly but surely. And then my organization that I co-founded, the Breathe to Sleep organization for sleep apnea patient advocacy, is on hold, unfortunately. The partner whom I went into it with is no longer able to uphold his side of the bargain, and I am not able to do both sides. So it was a good effort. Who knows? Maybe he'll come back, and everyone that's involved in that project is essentially in active treatment, which is hard. It's exhausting. Just doing my physical therapy alone wipes me out. And I've sort of handled it by switching to just more physical. And then, whereas before I would be in my bed ruling the world with my clipboards, I am just sort of taking more downtime when I'm down. But you can see I've been able to sit up this whole time. My neck is starting to hurt, and I shouldn't really be doing it as much as I am right now, but I'm used to pushing myself. And that's going to be one of the hardest things, is to not push myself too far. Because that's what happened in 2016, 2017, 2018. Doctors and, my own training, I had tunnel vision, work hard, push, push, push. You're not going to get better unless you push yourself. And I pushed myself right over a cliff. So I'm definitely more aware of that, and then just always internally listening to my body, what's going on inside. And I guess that is it. So I have my physical therapy every week, my occupational therapy, my craniosacral therapy, and my respiratory therapy. I have this wonderful tenor who's been working at the Met. He's been a singer for over 40 years. And essentially, what I'm doing is learning how to sing, but it's expanding my lungs, working on toning all of these muscles. And I can't tell, but apparently, I have a good ear. So who knows? Maybe I'll be an opera singer next, my next career. And yeah, that's it. I won't miss this little little gap in my teeth after having perfect teeth all my life. Yeah, I guess I've caught you up. And I will try not to take so long to the next update. And hopefully, I will be driving soon. I will be walking around soon. And I have a very dear friend's wedding this September 2023. And my goal is to be able to be dancing by then. So I will talk to you soon. I love you. Goodbye.